Welcome, everyone, to Helmer and Luke Unfiltered. I'm your host, Alex Helmer. As always, with me to my right is the great Luke from Luke Reviews. Luke, how are you doing?
Actually, to your... Wait, I got confused about right and left. I'm doing good.
He forgot his own name. All right, and guys, today we have a great show to bring to you all today. Unfiltered is back, and we don't come back for no reason. We have a spoiler discussion of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and as you can see, we have a phenomenal panel today of two unfiltered veterans as well as one newbie. However, you've probably seen him around the league in other videos. First, top of the screen, we have Rod from the Cinema Gallery.
What's going on, guys? Good to be back. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We had to get you, the foremost MCU expert in the league, as well as just the
Courtesy.
as a whole.
Thank you.
And then in the middle there, he doesn't have a name. He has a profession. It's the chef.
Yeah.
Chef,
excited
by
to
John
be back.
And
excited to be back after Ant-Man. That last time we're here.
Oh yeah, you were here for Ant-Man. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully this will go better. To your right, also wearing red, is Gall from Film Toppings. Gall, we had your co-host Alan on. How do you feel? How are you doing today on Unfiltered?
I'm doing great. I'm glad it took a while, but I'm finally on Unfiltered. Yeah. Usually I'm filtered, and even Alan was on before me, so it's been a long time in the making.
Sure, guys. And if you haven't already, guys, make sure to subscribe to the League of Cinephiles as well for more cinema-related competition content like this. But guys, let's get straight to it. We're just gonna start out again, guys. This is spoilers, so we're just gonna put that out kind of right away. If you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I mean, you can stay here if you want. You can watch the video if you just want to hear us recap the movie and stuff. But if you haven't seen it, I suggest you exit this video, put it on your watch later list, and come back, see it once you've seen the movie. But guys, we're gonna start here with initial thoughts. I'm gonna start with my co-host Luke today. What are your initial thoughts? Just brief. When you came out of the theater, what were your thoughts of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I just thought that, James Gunn is one of the few saving graces of the current MCU, and it's a shame that he will be leaving, but at least he ended out on a high. And you can see Nikita, they're absolutely not agreeing with me. I know his Peacemaker opinions, so I'm excited to hear his thoughts on this movie more in detail. But yeah, I was very satisfied with the conclusion. It exceeded all most of my expectations, and I thought, Now I'm done caring for the MCU until they announce Spider-Man 4, because I wanted this one to be good, and now all the rest can be shit. So I know a lot of other people, I know a lot of other people feel that way. That they're kind of checking out after this one. So I'm just glad this one was good.
Let's go to Gall.
I had so much fun. I mean, I think in the first 15-20 minutes, I felt like it was probably the worst one, but after the first 20 minutes, I just was having so much fun with it. And James Gunn, like you said, I think there's something so unique about him that only he can do. Whether it's giving these misfits this empathetic backstory or having this energy that's just goofy, and I think he always makes the music such a character. I don't know what the debate here. I don't know who stands where on Peacemaker, but even in Peacemaker, the music feels like its own character, and I just feel like he's such a good storyteller. And this movie made me think that these are some of the best developed characters that are around in current superheroes. And I thought it was a really good conclusion to an incredibly strong trilogy. And I also really respect that he decided that there's going to be a final one and not just make more for the sake of it. That being said, I'm sad that they're gone, but I think it was earned.
Let's go to Rod.
Luke said it best, emotionally satisfying. This was a very emotionally satisfying experience for myself. As someone who wasn't as big of a fan of Guardians 2 as most people are, this exceeded a lot of my expectations. This kind of, fit that same tone and stuff as the holiday special, which I liked a lot. As Gall said, it's sad that they're gone. I'm sure we're going to see some of them pop up in future projects in the future, but I just liked the finality of everything, how everyone kind of got, a moment to shine. Everyone got their proper goodbyes. And the last, 5-6 minutes really had me in tears. So it was a really perfect send off for this ragtag team of misfits.
Yeah. I can go to Nikita now.
Oh.
I was going to go.
Everyone's so connected emotionally to it. No, look, I'm gonna say that the emotional element was there, and the rocket stuff was exceptionally well done. Some of the best work from this trilogy, hands down. You actually feel for the character, and it was interesting. I wish we could have seen similar backstories to the other guys. I also agree that the music was like a character, like in all of his movies. He loves his music and he uses it effectively, especially that corridor scene was amazing. But yeah, for me, I don't know, like I'm not a big fan of his humor. I think James Gunn is a guy who thinks he's a lot funnier than he is. So a lot of the jokes, I say most of the jokes didn't land for me. And when you have such amazing emotional elements and then they're contrasted with this head smacking cringe, it kind of killed the experience for me. But overall, look, it's a positive film. It was probably the only anticipated thing from this phase. And yeah, I doubt there'll be anything to match it, as Luke said, till maybe Fantastic Four or the new Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I can go now. So I really like this movie. I don't think it's my favorite of since Endgame. Like a lot of people, I think it's like second favorite because Spider-Man No Way Home's there, kind of around there as well. But yeah, I think by the end of it, I realized how much I cared for all these characters. Like when the first movie, I wrote this in my review, but when the first movie came out, I was in middle school. When Volume 2 came out, I was in high school, and Volume 3 came out, and I'm in college. So I really felt kind of, by the end, I just felt, that I'd kind of grown with these characters so much, and that, they were kind of my friends in a way, and I think that's what James Gunn is so good at, is creating characters that, despite the fact that you don't actually physically know them, you feel like you do. And I think this movie did a great job of delivering all those satisfying moments. I do think it was rough around the edges. I agree with some of Nikita's. I don't think I agree to the full extent, but I definitely see where you're coming from. And a lot of the humor didn't work for me. And I had some certain plot problems as well. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a great end to the trilogy. And I really agree with what Gall said. I'm really glad that he kind of decided to end it here, so he could actually have a kind of a cemented conclusion rather than kind of maybe we can do some more stuff later on. So I really liked how they kind of wrapped it all up in a kind of a tight knit bow. So let's head over to our second subcategory, the best elements from the movie. No, we're not going to go in a certain order anymore. Anyone want to get started? I guess I can get started because I feel like Nikita mentioned it, but Rocket. So that's what everyone was kind of buzzing about coming out of the movie when we saw the first reactions. How did everyone feel about kind of the whole kind of Rocket story character arc that we got in Volume 3?
Was the best thing in the film, hands down. As I said, I wish I could have done more for others, but I'm glad we got this. It was well made. It did play with your emotions a little bit, but it's animals. Everyone loves animals, and the way it was done. I remember watching it and seeing all these deformed creatures, like Spy Kids 2 style deformities, or maybe Toy Story 1. I don't know which one you prefer analogy.
Toy Story 1.
Yeah. So one of those,
It's a way better movie, yeah.
Where does Spy Kids 2 come from?
Yeah. but there are all these mutants created. But overall,
I picture it now.
Yeah, I was connected with this weasel and the walrus, man. The walrus really broke me. Like he was on the wheelchair. My God, this was really tragic. And I think this was well made. Like it hits you emotionally, and it's depths that MCU hasn't gone before, or not in my memory. So yeah, Rocket flashbacks on point. And it comes full circle. That's the best part. It's not just left hanging there. No, it concludes, It connects with the present story. That was well done.
I think it was the scene where Rocket escapes, and we can already get into spoilers, right? So the scene where Rocket breaks out and then all his friends die around him, and he has this moment. It's almost appears to be his origin story, because we see where the moment his anger is born, and the moment that he starts to be this resentful creature, I guess, that we meet in the first Guardians movie. And I thought that was just so powerful. And it also really hurt when his friends just died around him and he was devastated. And then, I don't know. I thought it was such a well done moment there. And again, James Gunn makes you feel for these outcasts. But then by the end, I think what was interesting with Rocket's journey is he realized that the moment that's defined him all his life wasn't that, but the moment that he became a guardian, the moment that he took control of his own destiny, not not his pain, which again, great writing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that whole sequence elevates the other two movies because there's so many moments in that movie, those movies where he like hints at his past, but we don't really know the context. Now we do know the context, and it elevates those moments to a whole new level, elevates his character overall. That, like you guys said, it comes full circle. Rocket's always been my favorite MCU character.
Oh, really? Like
yeah.
as a whole?
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, as a whole. I don't know. He's a funny raccoon. And now he's everyone else's favorite as well. So, but that's good.
It's
He's
like the
a good
Better Call
character.
Saul for Guardians.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what you meant by that.
To recontextualize, this is the origin.
So, okay. No, but then
I didn't know how to follow it up, Carl. Sorry.
I saw some of the negative reviews were saying that it was too dark. I'm like,
What?
come on, guys! Like, this is not a children's movie anymore. Like, people who watch this are now 9 years older than they were in the first movie. They can handle something a little darker. Although in my a row that I was sitting, there were some kids who wouldn't have been born when Volume 2 released. So when there was a certain reveal, I heard it like, oh, like okay, that just traumatized.
I was traumatized. I was traumatized when I saw the first Toy Story and I saw the little robot thing, and that was an animated PG movies. But Ron, let's go to you.
I'm still recovering from that Better Call Saul comment. Yeah, no, I mean, you guys kind of already said all the points I was going to say, so I'll just be quick with it. I think this is the Rocket backstory is definitely the highlight of the film for me as well. I think the whole first Soulcom moment, because we kind of got teased of that, of his backstory in that first Guardians when he has that little outburst, and so to kind of see it really be fleshed out was really, really emotionally effective. And, I think for me, Rocket's not my favorite MCU character, Luke, but he's definitely my favorite Guardian. I think he's him and Nebula have the best character arcs throughout the trilogy and really within the MCU. But, we're just sticking with Rocket. I think that there's that one scene that always gets me when they start naming each other, Wheels and Floor. As stupid as that name is, it got me crying. So I think James Gunn did a really good job with all that. And just like you guys all been saying, really came full circle at the end with him becoming the new leader of the Guardians at the very end. So really, really strong stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it was the best part of the movie, and I took a character. I wasn't as huge a fan of the characters. Look, I like Rocket. He just wasn't on my top tier MCU characters list. But I also felt like, and they said it in the movie, and James Gunn has also hinted at it when he's done interviews about the movie, the fact that the Guardians movies has actually been about Rocket, which I felt was really touching, and it made sense in this movie. And the fact that kind of he becomes the leader of the Guardians kind of at the end of the movie and in the post-credit scene really makes sense now. And I think that, you're just, I just think he's so good at taking characters that could be considered really silly or just, throwaway characters and just making them something more. And I feel like I don't know, I'll get to it later, just the entire message of the movie, which I felt was just very well done and heartfelt and just really hit me. But I just felt like the character arc that Rocket underwent. And also the dark elements that Luke mentioned, this is, I think, the darkest MCU has gone, which is interesting because it seems like every project they do nowadays, they're like, oh, this is going to be so dark, guys. This is going to be like a horror movie. And I'm like, no, like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is not horror. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even scary. But this is actually really dark. And I every moment from the moment they play Creep in the first kind of part of the movie, and it just the juxtaposition of like the lyrics of the song, what the song's about, and you know everything about the character. It's just, it really hits you. And then as we keep going, I didn't cry as much as a bunch of other people did in the movie, but the only times I did cry were the Rocket flashback scenes.
Don't worry, I didn't cry at all. So.
Oh, okay.
Me neither.
But I don't cry at movies anyway, so.
But the scene
I'll say
when
it.
they're
I
like,
fucking cried.
the scene when they're all laying down and they're you get the kind of bird's eye shot of them all laying down and they're saying their names and everything just really got me. And then the scene where he's kind of in heaven and he's talking to Lila, and then you see the two others come. She's like, "Oh, they're with me too," and you see them, the silhouettes of them, the walrus and the rabbit. I was just like, oh, and yeah, just that's all kind of I have to say about that. Any other elements that people actually I can get started as someone kind of who ended there. I thought visually this is one of the MCU's best films, and when I mentioned in my review was that there was kind of a physicality to the world, or kind of the worlds that they visit, which is something I feel like can be lost in a lot of movies nowadays. As space travel is in like every sci-fi movie, and we get more and more space and planets and stuff from all these different sci-fi and kind of CGI heavy movies. And I felt like this movie did a great job of separating itself from other movies. There's a lot of kind of physical features, like whether they're on that planet where they're trying to get the heart. I forgot what it's called.
Corp.
Yeah. And they're trying to get the heart, and they're like all these squishy things. They have the guys with the suits on, and it just felt like a world that I could actually imagine. You know, I could touch, I could feel, and that's something that gets lost. For instance, in a movie like Quantumania, you know, which just came out like a month, 2-3 months ago, where everything just felt like it was shot on a soundstage. Here, you could feel everything, and you could see everything, and there was a uniqueness, a unique kind of obvious love that was put into making this world that I felt like has been missing from a lot of MCU projects and a lot of just kind of sci-fi in general nowadays.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that I heard this on a podcast, The Weekly Planet. The characters pick things up, you know, they don't pick anything up in Quantumania. Like, you can't feel the world they live in. So it's all green screen and volumes. And here, like, you know, every environment feels lived in. Every environment is different. Like, even if it's something as simple as like the counter Earth, the house that they go into, it's just simple stuff like that that elevates it, I think.
And even the production design of High Evolutionary's lair was, oh my god, it looks so cool. It was so epic. But yeah, that's just something else. Anyone else?
I mean, the corridor scene, I don't know if we're talking about specific moments, but I think that was one of the best sequences. I think it's the best use of the music in this film. The way it really gets you pumping, and the way it was shot, and the action, the teamwork, the chemistry. That was some poetry in motion out there. That's definitely the second standout for me after the rocket flashbacks, of course.
And that was the first scene in the movie where you could see the full chemistry of the team, you know, because that's like in the third act, right before kind of their last final big moment as a team together before they go their separate ways. So I definitely agree with Nikita there. It was just a great scene in general as well, though.
People always fighting in corridors and hallways.
I think it was the most dynamic of the three, like visually, because the way the shots would move like around the scene, or the way we would suddenly get a close up of a character when something's going on, plus mended with like, you know, I thought the orchescope, both the outside and the inside, were just so creative. For example, I don't know how much bias I have because I got to see it in IMAX 3D, which I feel like really makes you feel sucked into the.
I don't know. I feel like it's the opposite.
Weird flex, but okay.
I don't know,
okay.
Man.
No, but,
I like 3D.
No. I sat in the recliner chairs.
But yeah, I just feel like. I just feel like there was a lot of imagination put into it. Like Quantumania, not a movie I hate, but not one that I ever rewatched, just because. There's a lot of green screen. I even wrote in my review, it felt like they borrowed James Gunn's sets for a day from Guardians, because they're just here. It felt like even he wasn't like going back to ideas he took in the last movies. He was thinking of new stuff, like organic matter creating a thing, or animal mutants, or so on. There was a personality to everything.
Even when you saw and I appreciated the kind of. Obviously, it's a movie where you need CGI, but the moments where he didn't feel like it was totally necessary, like when you saw the animals transform, and you actually get like the physical, like the suits. So I just felt like it looked a lot better than CGI. It looked kind of a lot scarier, and just in general, I feel like him going back to that practical kind of nature really kind of
saw some Ninja Turtle potential there.
Yeah. Not the Michael Bay Transformers, the good old.
That made me think of that though.
The original Transformers. Or Transformers, Ninja Turtles. Rod?
Yeah, no, I think for me, I forgot to mention about the action. I think Gall said, that corridor fight was, some of the best fight in the movie. I think all the action here is probably some of the best Guardians has ever done, because I really felt the stakes with this one. Everything felt like, oh my god, I don't know if Drax and Nebula are gonna get out of Ogle Corp okay, or I don't know if Rocket's gonna be make it out of this okay. I just felt the weight, the emotional stakes in these action sequences. Where the first I was like, okay, I know they're gonna be okay. They're not gonna kill these guys in this volume 1 or even volume 2. I didn't really feel that sense of real danger. We're here. Every action sequence, I felt like someone might not make it out of this okay.
Yeah,
I
agree.
will say though, 2 is also a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah,
It is.
I agree. I think 2 as a whole is underrated. We'll get to that maybe in a future
Same.
conversation. But yeah, let's move on now. Favorite character? Who wants to start? From this
We should
movie.
do favorite character except Rocket.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I thought of that right when you did. Yeah, that's a good one. Favorite character aside from Rocket?
I'll start. I'll say Nebula. I think Karen Gillan has really evolved within this franchise. In the first movie, she's just really, just yelling a lot and has that angry, annoying face on her the entire time. Where I feel like with Guardians 2 and Endgame and now here, we've really seen an evolution of her character. And just seeing something as simple as at the end, you see Nebula just start dancing, with everyone. It just felt like another kind of full circle moment for her, where she's not, the angry, annoying character anymore. She's, become this leader figure for the Guardians now. So Karen Gillan has really evolved into the role. And I'm not sure if she's going to come back in future installments or not, but I loved what Gunn has done with her character throughout this franchise. So for me, it's Nebula, outside of Rocket, of course.
I'm just gonna agree
go
with
ahead
Rod and not say anything. Yeah, go ahead, Gal. Everything you said, I agree. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna go ahead and say Mantis. I
I
thought
don't know that picture.
Yeah,
Well-
Mantis was great.
Yeah, Mantis looks great there.
Nebula's great too. Mantis, I just thought she was, first of all, so funny, but there was this like gentleness and this empathy that she always had that I think really drove the movie forward. It reminded me a lot. Well, also in the past movies that Mantis was in, it reminded me a lot of what Ratcatcher 2 was doing in the Suicide Squad, and she was like giving everyone a chance, and she was also really playful with the role. I thought she was just so much fun, even if like Nebula, like you said, has had the strongest arc, I think, when it comes to multi-films, because she was just a side villain in the first movie. And then Nebula was my other standout, because I also just I just love to see, I guess, how far she's come, because from like 2 onwards, she became like a hero, but she was still like consumed in loneliness and anger. Like her goal was just to kill Thanos. And since then, now we get to see her get along and enjoy company and enjoy being with a family from this in the holiday special. I think we really got to see some beautiful growth. And she's also there supporting other people. We could talk about it later, but she says something really beautiful to Drax at the end that I think defined his arc really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said Mantis, but I ended up talking more about Nebula. I guess they're tied.
Yeah, for the sake of variety, I'm gonna say the High Evolutionary. I thought he was a fantastic villain. He's just a simple guy you absolutely have to hate. He has no redeeming qualities. You don't have to try and like him. And what's his name? Chuck Woody Iwuju or something?
Woody Iwuji.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You guys say when I need to say. He gave an incredible performance, very ferocious and angry, and there was an amazing line. He said, "There is no God, so I stepped in." I'm like, okay.
That's a great line. Yeah.
And
That was censored for me.
What? Really?
I didn't hear it. I mean,
I
Oh,
can
okay.
imagine. I can imagine.
Instead of
but,
no, there may be gods.
I believe in God, but I'm equal.
There might be a god.
I'm
so
his servant.
No. Considering he mostly had to act opposite a tennis ball, I imagine he had a really great
True.
performance, and I enjoyed seeing his downfall throughout the movie.
I did too. Yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm surprised. I guess we kind of become accustomed to him, but I'm gonna go Star-Lord. I don't know. I just feel like Chris Pratt gets a lot of hate nowadays for no reason. I feel like that's the reason none of you picked him.
Terrific.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly it, Alex.
I've seen
yeah.
all 7 seasons of Parks and Rec.
But I feel like the Star-Lord Gamora relationship was something I didn't from this movie. It's not what I expected at all, but I loved it for that. It was so unconventional, especially the way it ends up. And I feel like kind of the character arc that Star-Lord has to go on. I feel like it's really. I think it's very difficult, and I think Chris Pratt does a great job of portraying that kind of that frustration. Because it is really the situation he's put in with Gamora is something that's just so it's like it's right there, he can see it, but it's not it's not feasible anymore. So, and I think Gamora's character arc, specifically what happens at the end, I really really loved, and I think it's again unexpected, but I think there's a lot of deeper meaning there. And with Star-Lord specifically, the way he ends up with his granddad as well, and the fact that we're getting more of him, which I'm very curious about. I just feel like the character when we first see him and when he's doing the come and get your love scene in Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, I mean, I know everybody said the term full circle in this episode. We're only 26 minutes in, but it does go full circle.
Can I just take you back off
Yeah,
that, Alex,
sure.
real quick? I like because one thing I didn't like about Quantumania was that that movie felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really take any risks with here. They took a lot of risks, and I really, really appreciate that Gunn didn't go the route of let's just put Gamora and Star-Lord put back together at the end of the movie, that they went their separate ways, that Gamora, stayed a Ravager and Peter went back to Earth. I love that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna talk about that more. I guess we can do that now though. So the reason I love the Gamora character arc specifically in this one, because obviously like Rod said, we expect them to get together at the end. That's 100% what I expected going into this movie, but that is not nearly what happens. And it really is kind of this Gamora is a really different character than the original Gamora, which I really appreciated. It's not the same at all. Her character, it's not like she has this big, she falls back in love with Star-Lord again. It is a different character, and the changes that were made in Endgame really impacted her, and she's not the same. And I think one of the most impactful scenes for me at the end was when we see her hugging Sylvester Stallone and the rest of the Ravengers, because you realize that's her happiness, right? It might not be the same Gamora that we saw previously. That's not what she would consider like happiness, but it's this Gamora. This is what she wants. And I feel like going that unconventional route was something that I didn't expect, but something that I think really hit me. And I think it has a lot of deeper meaning. And I think it's not what everyone wanted, but seeing it actually come into play, I don't know, when she's hugging that Doctor Strange alien dude, I was I don't know, I just got
the laughing emoji.
Yeah, I just yeah, and also knowing that Zoe Saldana is probably not going to come back, and that's the last moment we're probably going to see her in the MCU. That hit me.
I would have honestly been disappointed had they gotten together, because for me it just didn't feel like where the movie was going. And also her death in Infinity War was, I still think, an excellent moment. So I'm glad they didn't like straight up undo the original Gamora's death. Right. That being said, I'm not sure exactly like how necessary to the plot was, even though you kind of won me over with what you were saying there. But I'm really glad that they took the more mature route and said, okay, this is different. She's been through different things, and he's gonna learn to have to let go. Besides, instead of him getting everything he wants again, and nothing changed from before Infinity War.
Perfect. Nikita, what are your thoughts on Drax?
King. Always a king.
If I honestly am gonna be positive, I like there were these moments with the kids. I think he did. It felt nice to see him this way. Plus his little dance in the end. I think it made me feel something. But overall, I mean, it's the same Drax as like parts 1, 2, 3, and we get to that he shouts and he's like an idiot the whole time. But it had to be pointed out almost every other scene through him yelling, constantly. And I don't know, as I said, the comedy is very subjective and everyone laughs at different things. But I mean, okay, I laughed my ass off in part 1 and even in part 2. But then now we're seeing the same Mantis, the same Drax, the same Nebula, the same screaming everyone. And it doesn't progress the plot as well. So it's just like, for the sake of shouting, that's why I said that James Gunn might think that he's funny that he is. He just plugs the same joke everywhere. And I don't know, like it kind of killed all the emotional wholesomeness and the maturity that you guys are talking about. Because 1 second I'm seeing all these walruses and the rabbits with the legs and limbs torn off and their machines. And it's all super sad and they're making names for each other. And next second, ha 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 ha, why are we shouting? You know, and then like, what the hell? You know, so, yeah, that really killed a
I guess-
lot of the positivity for me from the experience.
Um,
And here we are on weaknesses.
So I can I somewhat agree. So this is my thing with the Drax character and why I'm kind of divided on him is that first of all, I love Dave Bautista's performance. I think the fact that he goes all in on the character, despite what you might think of the script, I think that's and he's talked about kind of ad nauseum how he wants to do more dramatic roles. So I feel like, yeah, I think his performance across the trilogy has been great. But so I somewhat agree with Nikita. I do think that I think some of the jokes hit, some of them didn't, but I also think he does hit you over the head with a lot of the yelling, not just from Drax, but there are moments with Nebula and Gamora as well where it's a lot of yelling. I'm sorry, Nikita, but Babylon, for example, another movie which I had the same problem with. There was just a lot of yelling, just a lot of characters trying to increase drama and tension very lazily by just having characters yell. And I'm sorry, Nikki, because I know you love Babylon. So I know you're a bit divided on my point here. But for me,
I'm trying to remember what you're talking about.
No, it's just because I'm just comparing it because Babylon, there's just a lot of scenes where I'm just like, what? Stop, please, just calm it down. You don't need to yell for there to be tension and drama.
It's not the kind of movie you tell to calm down.
I did. Maybe because I was like sick when I watched it, but whatever. Yeah, in this movie, there just felt like a lot of that with Drax, for example. And I wrote this in my review. I just feel like a lot of the jokes involving his character were very mean-spirited. It's just a lot of you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid. And after a while, to me, especially after Volume 2, which one of the main criticisms was that it was mean-spirited, I just felt like it was I didn't laugh, and I just felt like it was, I don't know, it just didn't it felt contradictory to the overall warm tone of the film, as well as the fact that they're all supposed to be friends. You don't call your friends stupid time after again. And I know it's not supposed to be mean, but to me, it just felt like that. Same with like calling Nebula kind of like mean and stuff. Same, I guess, same there. And the thing is, Drax, I actually I loved in part 1. I felt like that was the perfect Drax. And I felt like with part 3, part 2, and to an extent the holiday special, they kind of forget who Drax is. He's someone who lost his entire family. It's not like it was too long ago. It was like less than 10 years. He lost his entire family. They were butchered in front of him. And I felt like they should have leaned more into that. They did that a bit with the kids, but I felt like that was just like one scene. And I feel like for a character who's been through that much trauma, there should have been a lot more kind of, I guess, less comedy involving the character. Because I felt like, yeah, it did kind of drag it down for me. I don't know if anyone kind of agrees or disagrees.
Well, my thing with Drax is, like, I love Bautista's performance, but I'm kind of with you too, Alex. I think if I have any sort of nitpicks with this movie, it's kind of the constant battering down of Drax. Like, you're stupid, you don't do anything useful, yada, yada, yada. I kind of harken back to that first Guardians where he was probably one of the biggest standouts of that movie. Because he was so funny, though, right? Because, and then so James Gunn had a dilemma: do I give him more action or I give him more comedy? And he went the comedy route, and I think that was a detriment to Volume 2. And but I think what saves it for me is his relationship with Mantis.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I do like when they're together, when they're paired together. When they're going off in the Ogle Corp, and she does that thing where she hypnotize that guy to fall in love with him. It's just like little things like that that really just like I gotta love these two so much, and they did such a great job in the holiday special. And their little goodbye was really, really sweet. Like I got emotional because they didn't say anything. It was just a little wave goodbye because Drax saw, even though they were always like mean to each other, there was always that love there that they still had for each other.
That's a good point.
But that's one of my nitpicks is the constant. Let's remind the audience that Drax is a dumbass. Drax is an idiot. But I did like how he became a father at the end. And I forgot who said the High Evolutionary was a standout. I think he was a standout to a degree, but then he also just started just yelling all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like, okay.
He got a little over the top.
He did. Yeah. I agree. I love the character. We'll get to him soon, but I agree around a lot there.
As I said in my review, he's the diet version of Kang.
He's better than Kang.
No, he's better than Kang.
I think he's better than Kang.
He's better than Kang.
Maybe not the career, but just
Kang was yelling the whole time. So the same thing, he was yelling.
I agree, but Kang got his ass kicked by by
Ants,
Yeah.
yes.
Ants.
That ironically is one of my favorite.
I think the
scenes in
perform.
canon,
I think
yeah.
that, and the fact that this guy's playing a high evolutionary, a character that's only meant for one movie. Jonathan Majors is playing a character who's the villain for an entire phase. I mean, the fact that
was
we're even
playing-
comparing them.
Yeah.
So
I think because he was being set up in Quantum Mania, so they kind of forgot to make
him good.
an opposing villain.
Well, yeah, King Tut was fine. Let's,
Shout out
He
to King
was
Tut.
good though. I like that scene at the very end where he just goes all out.
what was I gonna say? But yeah, I agree with the high evolutionary. Chris, I liked the character a lot. I did feel like at the end when he's talking to that woman, we're getting the cutaways, and he's like, he keeps yelling, he keeps going over and over and over. It's like, dude, James Gunn, and I don't think that's a performance. I think that's James Gunn, because you're getting a lot of that yelling. I feel like it's like, dude, we're already sweating our asses off that our favorite characters are gonna die. You don't have to keep yelling. You can calm down. We're still gonna be as invested as we were if these characters didn't yell. Yeah. Anybody else?
It's not. I wouldn't call it a weakness, but I wouldn't also call it a strength. Is one Adam Warlock. Gladly for Will Poulter, he finally got paid after all those years of asking if those guys are getting paid. I enjoyed his performance as a kind of like a man child. He doesn't really know what he's doing. But he also felt like a bit of an afterthought. Like, if you take him out of the movie, does it really change that much? But yeah, I guess maybe he was gonna do something more with him. That's why he set him up in the last movie. But
I don't think they will. I think this was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
for the
think-
amount of hype this guy got, the workouts that he had to go through, don't ever try this diet at home. I don't know what. Keep it away from your children. And then we get this guy for like 3 seconds, and then he's unconscious the whole time. I mean, what a waste, you know. And Will Poulter is a decent actor. Yes, he looks like a moppy face in any role you put him in. You can't imagine anything else. But
He's
he
an
was
excellent
good
actor.
in the show about
Midsummer?
the drugs. I forgot again. No, about the drugs
Dopesick.
with
Dopesick.
Michael Keaton. Dopesick, yeah, he was very good in Dopesick, for example, you know, and that was unexpected from him. And I had some anticipation coming in now, but he was like, as Luke said, a man-child idiot, you know. But the time I felt sad when they killed his mom, like I genuinely felt sadness, you know, like that was unexpected, you know. And even though he's like a bad guy, a mother is a mother, you know. So that made me feel something, yeah.
I agree. I'm with Luke. I think I'm a bit mid. I don't know what to think. And I got it. So when Star-Lord almost dies at the end, I think one of the weirdest moments for me was when Adam Warlock saves him, because in that moment you're like, oh, someone close has to save Star-Lord or he dies. And it's like, oh, Adam Warlock does it. Sure. He doesn't know who this man is. I don't know where he came from. But sure, I guess he saves the main character. So that to me was very weird. I guess it served the character a bit, but I felt like the character arc was already going down that direction, so you don't really have to do that. And I just felt like a majority of the scenes were just him like in that rocket form of him like flying like and it's like that.
I do.
Like, that's all I see. And I'm not incredibly disappointed, because I didn't know too much about the character from the comics, so I didn't have super high expectations. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
I do
Paul,
think considering how hyped up he was pretty underused. Like comic book fans say that about almost every character now that they're underused. But I do think that he was, like, in a way, just because even during the action scenes, it felt like they were cutting away from him really quick.
Yeah.
Like almost
that's a good point.
like there's one shot with him fighting Gamora, and then you don't see him for a couple more shots.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Which I don't know, but whenever he is on screen, I really enjoyed what Will Poulter was giving to it. But honestly, like, before you start seeing the high evolutionary in the trailers, I thought the whole point was Aisha is the main villain here because of the post-credit scene in the last movie. Which I don't mind that she dies kind of like unceremoniously. I don't mind that necessarily.
The only named character, like previous MCU character, who died in this movie. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
I think it's
I
implied
think you're
that
right.
you know high evolution. Oh, well, you talking about past movies? Well,
like
yeah.
past movie, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think he's the only one then.
I totally forgot.
I do think
that he killed the
ironically-
high evolutionary. He'd still be alive. I doubt
I
it.
think ironically, Cosmo the Space Dog was an even more fun character.
I didn't like
Yeah.
Cosmo. I did not like Cosmo. I didn't like the bad
I
dog
loved
joke.
her.
Like the entire character hinges on that running gag. I didn't like it. I thought it was. I
My point exactly with James Gunn, like, I mean, okay, we get she's a bad dog and that's it, but you have to bring it up 17 times,
No,
my
you
God,
get that payoff at the end with the good dog moment. So I like that. But it's like all that stuff in the. You could have just had that one first bad dog joke and then the last one. You don't have to book it. You can just have it like just the two. You don't have to say it a bunch of more times in the middle to make the audience understand. Like I would have gotten.
There's already enough animal abuse.
Yeah. I thought, Maria Bakalova, who I did not know she did the voice performance for Cosmo, but she was okay.
Did y'all know Linda Cardellini was the otter? She was Lila.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Right, yeah.
You don't know that?
You got his
No.
whole family into this thing, his brother, his wife, and all
Also,
the
I didn't know
cast.
the fat dude from Crazy Rich Asians was that fucking absolute. Oh, I hated that guy so much. Oh, he might be worse than the High Evolutionary. I hated that guy.
Oh, that guy, yeah. He
Oh,
was pretty awful.
that Asian dude in movie. I hated him. Oh my god, that character. When he died, that gruesome death. Well, I don't even have to know how to describe his death. It was so amazing. Like I was talking to someone who's like, "Oh, he drowned." I'm like, "No, he didn't drown. Something far worse happened." But any more weaknesses before we move on?
I have one nitpick. I would have liked to heard the Guardians theme more than once. Like we heard it once.
No, I think it's okay if it's the third movie.
I don't know.
Then
that's just a nitpick that I would have liked more.
I feel like it might have been
I have a nit to pick for sure.
I have a pick to knit.
Yeah, pick to knit and knit to pick. Nikita has a knit to pick. Yeah. But since we're talking about this whole finality and how the film is they're wrapping up the trilogy and it's the end of the Guardians and there's no more. And this was, I don't know, the perfect opportunity, I don't know, to just kill someone. Like Drax made it clear that this is his last time he's ever going to appear. And this fight, when they were these balloon, with these balloon guys in this organic planet, I thought they're going to kill Drax. I'm like,
not there.
The guy
not
was
in that
saying
scene,
that I'm never coming back. Huh?
Not
No, but
in
he was blasted off left,
Yeah,
right,
but not
center.
in that
He had like
scene.
two
Like maybe later.
But
I actually think Drax
would
had
have
the
been
best
unexpected.
conclusion.
But that would have been unexpected, and then Drax dies,
That's
and
true.
like it would have been like this would have leveled up the emotional impact because we don't get many deaths in MCU, like accidental, not like Tony and whatever. This would be like in the course of battle, like wow, shit, we lost the main character. But in the end, the Guardians are still intact. You have they have Guardians version B, with Adam Warlock and this orphan chick and the dog, So this is the new Guardians. And then the Mantis and Drax are still there in existence. Star-Lord's on Earth, Gamora and Nebula, like literally the Guardians are all intact. They're just spread around. So like if MCU decides to whistle, we're bringing them all back. We're going to have Guardians reunite.
So I think if you told me before the movie that if one of them died, like if one of them didn't die, I would have been mad. But I felt like in service of the story and the message and all of the character arcs, I felt like, if one of them died, I wouldn't have been mad too. But at the same time, like if one of them died, but I don't think it was, to me, seeing it all in perspective, I don't think it was a giant negative for me.
I don't think any of the Guardians dying really. I think the ending we got with everyone kind of going their separate ways, everyone being alive still, I think that was more effective than having characters die. Because for me, I feel like because we've seen Nick Fury die 8 times and come back, the fact that we've seen other MCU characters die and come back, I don't think I would have believed that it would have been it. I think that everyone kind of going their own route was more effective for me personally. I get what you're saying, Nikita, but I just, the MCU has just done these fake deaths so many times now, which is why I'm scared that they're going to bring Tony back eventually for Secret Wars.
Of course,
they've
already filmed it.
I just think
Wesley
this
Snipes
more
in Secret Wars.
Well, I'm looking at the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 cast, and Margot Robbie, and Michael Rooker. Or Michael Rooker makes sense, but Margot Robbie, I didn't know she was in it.
Wait, what?
Where would we rank the soundtrack for this one?
It's the worst one.
Among the
I
three.
agree.
I'm with you.
It is the lesser one.
Yeah.
I
mean,
feel like there were
part one
3 or
is
4
just God
standout
level.
songs.
I love
one
that's the
is
thing. I think it's a great soundtrack, but first of all, Volume 2 is like one of the best of all time. I think me and Luke
Oh, for
are in
sure.
agreement. That's like from the moment Mr. Blue Sky hits, you have the Brandy, you have the Wham. I mean, that might be the
yeah.
best soundtrack ever made in any movie.
Best
For me.
opening scene,
Yeah.
one of the best opening
agree.
sequences. I still listen to Mr. Blue Sky like
Yeah, me
frequently.
too.
You know,
Yeah.
it's such a good song,
Yeah,
and
I
it was
agree.
so well done. I agree.
100%. And Volume 1 is iconic.
I think
This
both the
one,
movies gave me new
There's
beers. This
certain
one, not
ones
really.
like Creep. They played Florence and the Machine, so I don't know.
It was very cathartic
when
moment
Rocket
there.
had that iPod and he had all the eras and he chose 2000s, I'm like, fuck, damn it. He could have chosen any other, but he chose.
I can't
Was
wait
he
for
gonna
the
pick like an
meme where
Elvis
it's like,
song from the 60s?
Should have played That's Life. You know, yeah.
I can't wait for
That
the
would've been-
meme where it's like Star-Lord on Earth when he discovers Bad and Bougie,
Yeah. But
or
aside
like he
from the
finds
murders,
Cardi B or some shit.
yeah.
He gets like Lil Nas X on his iPod, and he starts like Austin
USB
Volume
stick
4,
or chat?
Anyways,
Snoop
Yeah.
Dogg,
Oh, that is.
all right. Well, that's
Lizzo, Awesome Mix Volume 4.
I hope we never see Starlet jamming out to Lizzo or
Dude, Starless has a
Kendrick
lot to
Lamar.
catch up on.
Listen, I don't know. Some of these hit like Crazy on You, Since You've Been Gone, they were good. Creep was my favorite needle drop in the movie. That was the first scene. Do you
Crazy
realize
he's
it's pretty
been in
good?
another MCU movie though.
No
I don't
Sleep
know
Till
how much
Brooklyn.
credit-
That was a good
Yeah.
during the hallway scene.
Yeah.
That was
The corridor,
perfectly
yeah.
good,
That was the best one, yeah.
yeah.
Reminded
Really,
me of
really
Brooklyn
pumping
Nine-Nine.
stuff, fitting the action. Yeah, fantastic.
But I did like the previous two more. I think Bruce Springsteen in the credits. That was cute, I guess. Yeah, let's
y'all
move
hating.
on.
Y'all hate. I love this soundtrack. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed it.
You
I'm not gonna
Florence
say.
and
I don't know. I don't know if it's my
Machine
It needs
favorite.
time to marinate for me.
Hey, they're actually
Yes,
pretty
sir.
good.
Yeah, it's only been 48 hours, guys. Give it time. We'll come back next week.
All right, let's move on now. Top tier MCU villain, Rod.
No,
Oh, whoa.
no. Everyone, look. Okay, we all must have short-term memory. Okay, there's still Thanos. There's still Killmonger. There's still. I would put Zemo ahead of him. I would
I like
put.
Zemo.
yeah.
I like Zemo.
And we have Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I would put Goblin ahead of him.
Oof, for sure.
I didn't even put Namor ahead of him.
I put Namor way over
Let's
him.
not get crazy over there.
Namor's
was-
fantastic.
Yeah, look,
He'll bust out some Lil Nas X now in the playlist for
I
the
put
2002.
I put Homecoming Vulture over him still. I mean, look. Okay, yes, look, yeah. Look, ooh, okay.
I remember how he looked like.
He's telling you the
Cannot forget
truth.
this skin face, you know, yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, yeah, enthusiast over there.
I think he did a better job. Now, look, performance-wise, he was great, yes, but the way he was used, like I was telling you that earlier, Alex,
Mhm.
just started yelling way
Yeah.
too much, got a little over the top for me.
Yeah.
Motivations, yes, he's very, very, very easy to hate.
Mhm.
I mean, top tier. We need to relax on that a little bit.
All right.
We all need to calm down.
So for me, he is. So,
God damn it,
so
Alex.
I know. Sorry. So for me, this might be a bit too much, but I'm just gonna go there. He is basically Hitler in the MCU. when you think about- no, he is. When you think about the plan, when you think about
I
the plan,
understand.
to make like the perfect human, to make the
The
and I felt like
experiments.
I feel like theme wise, that's why I think he's top tier because I think he fit the tone of the movie, what they were going for in the themes. Because I think the message of the movie, kind of at the end, is there's no kind of perfect person. Like there's no, you got to embrace your silliness. You got to embrace. So what he's doing to the kids, what he's experimenting, like there is no such thing as that type of person that he's looking for, and he does all these things to look for that thing. And I also think his obsession with Rocket, although it does get a bit over the top near the end, I think that and I think that's one of the best qualities in a villain is that unnecessary obsession with things, and like his obsession to be kind of the smartest, the best, a god basically. And I guess one of my problems going into it was where has he been like all of Rocket's life? He
They
just
kind of
like
had that
appears
throwaway
now.
line of when he was talking to the high priestess, whatever her name is. Like, you've known Rocket's been alive all these years, and now
Yeah.
I'm just finding out. So that's kind of
Yeah.
how I
What kind of yeah, like he blamed them for their headhunting department,
But I'm gonna be honest, I like all the MCU, or not MCU, all the Guardians villains. I think they're all I think Kurt Russell's really underrated. I think Ronan is really underrated. I like all three of them. So
You said Ronan was underrated. Alex,
Ronan
let me
was
have
underrated.
some awards on that topic, please. I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry?
Right.
I like all three.
I think this guy's better than Ronan.
I like everybody. Ronan gets way too much hate. I think he's
he's like doing the hold a stick.
Yeah.
I think he's the Krennic of
Good
the
job.
MCU, and I really liked Krennic. So
Krennic's better than Ronan. Come on.
For this guy, we have the mindless yelling on one side, but on the other hand, as you said, first of all, we didn't get one of these tragic backstories that he's right or whatever, any of that bullshit. So that's nice. Second, he actually has a purpose. Yes, it's an evil purpose, but it wasn't explored in the film, because let's say he had this Uber race created, all he needed was Rocket's brain, and he plugs into these Sia dance music video children, and there they are, perfect race,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it wasn't just explored enough because, he created this race in the alternative Earth, which I think was pretty funny, to be honest. But one of the few funny things in this film. And then Chris Pratt tells him that, listen, you have all these people stealing and all this bullshit that's going on on our normal Earth. He's like, yeah, that's what I'm planning to hit reset. He's constantly experimenting like a scientist, And when from his perspective, these animals are just like pencils, he just sharpens the pencil. Oh, broke. Okay, I get a new one, So I think that concept of this whole evolutionary thing wasn't explored enough, but it wasn't the objective of the film. But he wasn't the stupidest villain on earth, If you wouldn't have all this mad shouting like an idiot every single scene, then he would have been fine. Yeah.
Gall.
I wouldn't put him as top tier, but it's not really because I hated something that he did. It was more of just what Rod said, where there are people that I would put over him, like Willem Dafoe and Thanos and Killmonger and Namor and Loki. But I do think he served the purpose really well. He had Namor's great. What are you talking about? He has a couple scenes where yeah, you're kind of right. But basically,
wait till it's your turn, okay?
There's a couple moments where he was where he was a little bit over the top, but overall I enjoyed him. I think he did the purpose really well. I don't really have much to add besides what you guys have said, but I will say that James Gunn, at one point when the casting of this movie was coming out, and he had already worked with him on Peacemaker, has said that Chukwudi Iwuji is I think he said he's the best actor he's ever worked with. So that's very high praise from the man.
I thought he said that about Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay, maybe he said one of.
He also said Zoe Saldana was an actor of her generation. No, he didn't say that. But
I feel like John Cena is the best improviser of all time. He says that about everyone, but high praise.
Luke, help me out here.
Well, Alex, if you think this guy is Space Hitler, I can't wait for you to see Dune. Now that I look at some of the other MCU villains, like your Zemos, your Thanoses, your Vultures, I think he's maybe towards the bottom of the top tier and the top of the mid tier. I think that's where I'd place him.
So under Greg.
What, Hirsch?
Yeah.
Who's Greg?
How does Greg
It's a succession.
get into this?
Succession.
Oh shit! Okay, I mean, we really switched over there. I'm like, which guy is Greg?
I was like, Greg, and then he said Hirsch, and I
Is
was
this
like,
Vulture's
oh.
first name? Yeah.
Come on, bottom of the top.
No, yeah, I see that reference. No, I definitely enjoyed
Vulture
it.
could be Greg Hirsch instead.
Maybe upon rewatch, the shouting will be more obvious to me because I want to rewatch it. I'll probably go this upcoming week.
We've seen his face, please.
I know. I don't even have a picture, man.
but I liked finding out the context around him. Like he's created these societies. He created the sovereign. Like he just destroys the world. If he's not happy with it, he'll go again. So yeah, great presence.
How do you rank amongst what are we on? Phase 4 villains.
Ooh, what have we had?
He's better than Gore. I'm sorry.
But everyone's better than Gore.
He's like a bit. I think he's on what's his Shang-Chi's dad's level.
No, Wenwu was better.
Yeah, I think
that
for me-
was a hero.
Bro committed genocide.
I think I still have Wenwu, Goblin, and
He's towards the
Wanda.
top. I guess.
ahead of
I
him
don't know
still.
about Wanda's.
No,
With her
Hey,
kids.
look, don't be hating on Wanda
What
now.
are her kids' names again? Tommy and Billy or something?
didn't they
stupid
sing
like
that ice cream song?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh,
Be-
there was a
Okay.
really-
He goes over Ray Winstone in Black Widow. Can we at least agree on that?
I liked
Absolutely.
him in
Yeah,
that. He was
absolutely.
pretty funny.
Everything goes over Black Widow. Yeah.
I think yeah. He's over what's her face? The Flag Smashers. And
Let's not
Don't-
relive
don't
the
get me
trauma.
started on
please.
that,
Let's just
Alex.
move on to the next.
Don't talk to Disney Plus
You know,
shows.
yeah.
They
Does
don't
he go over
even count.
Vera Farmiga?
so yeah, we can move it. Where does this rank in the MCU? So just overall, not just like for soundtrack, we said it was the worst of the trilogy, except for Rod. I don't know what he thinks. Villains, we kind of where would you put High Evolutionary in terms of the villain rank?
I think what Luke said, like that second tier of Marvel villains, not
Okay.
quite, Thanos, Killmonger, Loki, Wenwu level for me, but that second tier that goes,
On
with
the bench.
Obadiah Stane, Justin.
No, he's
Hammer,
better than
people like that.
Obadiah Stane.
Hey,
He's
hey,
not better
don't-
than
well,
Justin Hammer.
He's
though.
better than.
Justin Hammer's
He don't know
pretty
Obadiah
good.
Stane,
I
though.
can't disagree with that.
Respect your elders, Luke.
All right. So overall in the MCU, where would you guys rank Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? Let me just clip that.
It's the second best after Spider-Man. Like everything after came out after the Avengers and Game, Spider-Man was obviously the king, and this is the second one after it. And then like the last phase supplied like a good steady bottom. That you can build
A good
on it.
foundation.
I wouldn't
for the
really
ranking.
agree.
So
I wouldn't
this
really
is like
agree.
the staircase to the first floor.
That's a good way to put it. Anybody else?
For me, it's in my top 5.
Here,
I'm
Okay.
not sure where in my top 5, but it's in my top 5.
I think it's like for me, 10, like around 10 to 15. Like I don't know. I would have to rewatch a bunch of them, but I think around 10.
I'm looking at my ranking now, and I would put it probably at number 10, which is like you
Okay.
would just bump out Volume 2, or it would be equal. I don't know, but I would put it over Ragnarok, honestly.
Oh,
And I still
okay.
have Avengers 1, 3, and 4 over it. I have both Black Panthers over it. I have Spider-Man No Way Home still over it. Civil War, probably even maybe Shang-Chi. So yeah, that's where it goes. Probably number 10, number 9 even.
So let me ask you this: is this the best MCU trilogy?
No.
No.
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
oh.
yes, for sure.
So for Nikita and Rod, what would your pick be?
Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America.
Yeah,
is
that's
still
what
the
that's
best.
my pick too.
Undoubtedly. You have Civil War and Winter Soldier. These are like top 10 tier.
And I think
movies,
First
like-
Avenger is very underrated too.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I mean, and that was good as well, yeah, because, okay, Guardians 1 is outstanding, phenomenal. It's my top 5 in MCU. But then, 2 is okay, and then 3 is...
I personally would put all 3 Guardians movies over both First Avenger and Winter Soldier.
I agree with that.
Oh well,
Thank
that's
you.
something. I think Winter Soldier is great, but okay, all right. I respect.
First
I'm
It is
just,
Avenger-
great. I just put them over.
Yeah.
We're just talking best. It's still great.
Like, First Avenger, for the time it came out, it was like one of the first projects, and it was very good. Like, I would watch it again now easily, Like,
Mhm.
there's many things I would not bother with, but I would rewatch with pleasure every Captain America movie, I mean, Winter Soldier's next level. And we got many Avengers and Civil War. I mean, like, that's a perfect trilogy,
any
for this
other
franchise.
thoughts before we move on to the next subtopic?
It's at my number 1 currently. Will that change when I
Wait,
rewatch
what?
it on Thursday? We'll see. Yeah, it's at my number 1.
Best MCU
Of the
movie?
whole
We're
MCU.
talking about
Yeah.
trilogies.
Wow.
Stay
Okay.
off the
What?
list.
Oh,
Number-
wow.
number-
Okay.
wow.
Wow.
Number 2.
Okay.
Number 2 is Volume 2.
Oh my.
That's
oh,
what-
wow.
No.
These are some hot takes. Wow.
Then it's Spider-Man No Way Home, Homecoming, Infinity War.
Oh,
So this man just doesn't like
Homecoming
Captain
over
America, is what we're
Black
saying. This
Panther.
man just doesn't like
Interesting.
Steve Rogers. Is what we're saying.
Let's rewatch No Way Home.
I'm shocked.
This,
I am in
it's the-
shock.
This is the moment where Rod and Nikita join forces.
No, I
It's
sent
like-
Alex my top
Exactly.
5 comic book
Usually-
movies. He said it's a very Luke list. So
Oh my god! Wow.
High Evolutionary, perfect MCU ranking.
I mean,
yeah,
Okay. Let's move on now. So, who is the Dion Waiters of? All right. So, if anybody
I have
doesn't
an
know
answer.
the term Dion Waiters, a character doesn't show up very often, but when they do, they hit.
Is that what it means?
Of course.
Yeah.
I thought it was someone who
Cosmo.
just shows up and like gets credit for just being there.
Okay. So, who is the Dion Waiters of Guardians of the
Oh.
Galaxy Volume 3? Anybody who shows up for
If
barely.
not Cosmo, then Daniela Melchior.
Who?
Who's that?
The
Oh, is that
Ratcatcher.
Ratcatcher too? She was in
Yeah.
this movie.
she's
Yeah,
the
she's in the
orange
movie.
lady that
Yeah.
Chris Pratt tells he's
He was
fat
orange.
for
That was
crazy.
her?
I know. I just like
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
her.
He literally brought the whole crew with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half the Suicide Squad was in that thing.
It's his brother.
Even his
It's like
girlfriend
talking
was
to
in
his
it.
brother.
was in this movie.
It's
She
his
was
brother
in
in
it.
that
Harcourt
case.
was in it.
Jennifer Holland was in the Orgoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his wife. Yeah. Everyone's in there, you know.
Alex,
yeah.
did you
Wife, yeah.
fall asleep when they went into the orgoscope? You
What's
just
the
missed everything.
horoscope?
He was
Horoscope?
orange. I
No,
mean,
his
Orgo-
round two brain
Orgocorp,
turned
whatever
off.
it was.
That's what
What?
happened.
Who is she in
The-
the movie?
The gooey place in which they go to.
Yeah.
With Nathan
Who is she?
Fillion.
Wait, which
His-
one?
His girlfriend.
Daniela
James-
Melchior. She's
I know.
red.
I know
and
what you were talking
like,
about with her. What about James Gunn's girlfriend?
She's like
Oh, she's
the one
just
that gets shot in the
yellow-faced.
leg.
She's looking at the cameras.
Oh, how would I notice that? How would I know that?
She was in the last 3 DC movies.
All,
Peacemaker.
all of
like-
Twitter argues about this. Like,
about
Yeah,
what?
it's a very hot topic on Twitter for
about
some
that
reason.
James Gunn puts his wife in his movies.
Oh,
She's actually good. She's
Taika
really good.
Waititi
in
put his
Peacemaker.
kid in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, it's
Wasn't that
Yeah, that's
Hemsworth?
Love
Chris
and Thunder.
Hemsworth.
But that doesn't count as a movie, Alex. It doesn't count, yeah. So, but it's his movie. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, like she does her job. So I
For
think,
me, my Dion Waiters is Nathan Fillion in this movie. I think we haven't talked about him yet. I didn't know another Suicide Squad alum, but his friend. I think was it a bit overdone? I think so, but I did laugh when.
No, I
got one of
loved
those
it. I
guys.
loved
I got
it.
one of those
That was a
guys
great
too.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when you don't realize the joke, you think the joke is over, and then it happens again. I think again it was a bit over, but I think I still laughed, especially near the end when he does it. And it makes sense because when you first see Nathan Fillion, he's talking to that guy. You think it's like a throwaway cameo from Fillion, but then he's like in the movie again. And one of the moments so when they're wearing the suits and they had the colors on the
Yeah,
the colors,
that was good.
that really got me when he's like, and when like he was talking the entire, it was really good. Any other Dion Waiters or anybody?
well, the
I'm
whistle
prepared for this
guy,
question.
I don't know, like if that fits the definition,
Exactly.
but like he literally
Exactly.
saved the whole base. You know, yeah. He just came up and saved the day. You know, yeah, like he,
And I think because Michael Rooker as Yondu is one of my favorite MCU characters, period.
Yeah.
And I think that moment in Volume 2 is, I think it's beautiful, so beautiful. So seeing him come back in that like brief moment and you realize Kraglin, despite how minor he is, he has that arc where it's like his mentor, you know, he might have been, you know, Peter's dad, but he was also Kraglin's mentor. So him coming back and that coming full circle to bringing that term back.
Can we get a counter on
I
that?
still wonder where was Kraglin in Infinity War.
Figuring out how to
Dustin.
They just never explained that he dipped from the team and then came
what
back
would he
in the
have, what
holiday
would he have
special.
done? He wouldn't have done anything. He
Could have
idea.
whistled.
didn't know how to use
No,
it.
but it's like
obviously.
he's just gone in both the movies, and then in Love and Thunder, he's like back with them on the ship, and they just like never do anything about
He's
it.
on nowhere.
he was doing the ship maintenance, man. Come on, like someone needs to
5
Oh
years.
yeah, my bad.
Like,
Okay.
damn, this ship's really broken.
Let's move on to our next topic. Funniest moments. Nikita is just gonna dip for this one. But any funny moments in the movie that we haven't mentioned that you guys wanted to shout out?
It's Nebula. Oh, sorry, it's Gamora watching them drive that car from the spaceship. I don't know, for some reason I laughed. I'm like, what bloody morons? You know, they went there. So I think yeah, that was funny.
I don't know why this moment made. I mean, I know we were talking about Drax earlier. But that moment where it's like, oh, are we still pretending we're mad? Mantis, you asshole! I don't know why that always gets me.
For me, it was the Zarg nuts. That's the type of Drax humor I love. Is the quiet things. It's like, oh, you can have a Zarg nut, and then
But
she's
we've
like,
seen
"Can I
them
have
all
one?"
already, guys. We've seen them all. Like,
There's a very slight moment where Mantis is like, "Are you gonna die? Are you gonna?" Where Quill's like, "People die when they're 50 or something." Mantis is like, "Are you gonna die?" And you see
Like,
Drax
I'm
in the
50.
background. He's like nodding slightly.
Do I look like I'm 50?
I didn't, because that moment was in the trailers, so I wasn't as.
I didn't
one
see
was
that
like,
trailer.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, I only saw the first trailer.
Yeah.
I like when he came to the orgoscope, which Helmer might have fallen asleep during, and no, but he goes, "My name is Patrick Swayze." I don't know. I just didn't expect
Yeah.
that, and I just laughed at it.
Back in the 80s. He's a lot to catch up on now that he's on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did everyone think of
Yes,
Groot?
catch up on some
saying his
Chris Pratt
first,
movies for tomorrow.
Groot saying his first thing besides "I am Groot."
Sweet
No,
moment.
that's
Okay, that I didn't like. That I didn't
God
like.
damn
Oh,
it,
what?
you like
Like-
all this
James Gunn there's an explanation for it, and James Gunn
Yes,
confirmed it
because
on Twitter.
we are now like the guardians with them,
Yeah,
so he
exactly.
can understand them. I
Wait, what's
get
the
it, but I
explanation?
think
That we've been with them so long that we now understand Groot
yeah.
or whatever.
I mean, last time
Oh,
it's a
that's
little-
good.
yeah, that's the whole point of it. Yeah,
Got it.
That's good. Yeah, you still didn't
Okay.
like it, Nikita.
like
Didn't like
Groot
being
is
intelligible.
the only character who I feel emotional over. I don't know, just,
Really?
it just gets me. Like the
He's the only character I
time-
don't. Because
the
he already
only
died.
the only moment I felt sad in Infinity War was when Groot was snapped away. That broke my heart.
What? No one else? Just
That's-
Groot?
I didn't care about
Gamora
anyone
literally
else. But
fell to her
Groot,
death.
For real.
I didn't care.
Mr. Stark, I
I'm
don't
telling
want to
you,
go.
Only two moments where I shed a tear was when Yondu died. That's the
Okay,
saddest moment in the
that's-
MCU.
Yeah,
And second moment is when
Oh,
Groot was snapped
yeah.
away.
JD.
That's it. These are the two saddest
I
moments.
Do you
do
guys-
not do one of these props over.
Do you guys
Hmm?
think Star Lord's gonna go to the theater to see Fast X and turn to whoever's next to it? He's gonna turn to his grandpa and he's like, "You know this tree? This guy sounds a lot like him." He watches Hangover. Bro sounds like a raccoon.
Okay.
He watches Avatar.
Oh no,
yes, I
he's
get that one
gonna
now.
get hard during Avatar.
Like, wait, she's blue in this
the hell?
one. What?
This is
Bro
children
gets
watching.
hard
here,
during
please.
Avatar.
Any other moments anyone wanted to bring up? The only Will Poulter scene that I like really laughed at was the post-credit scene where he's like his dance just got me for some reason. So
I enjoyed him and
He
the
did.
fluffy animal thing.
yes, I
Yeah,
did enjoy it.
protective
Was that the
over it.
same thing from Shang-Chi? It looked like the same thing.
No.
No,
This one
it
had like
wasn't.
eyes
Nah,
and
but
stuff,
they
yeah.
look really. I thought of that. It looked like Morris.
Also,
I like when he's trying to do the hug at the end.
when Peter's dad is or granddad is reading the newspaper. Did you see what was on the newspaper?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
Kevin Bacon.
I
I
just
thought
saw
Venom
Alien
spotted
abduction.
the NYC or some shit. You know, yeah, that's what they put there.
Any other Easter eggs people caught?
Mm.
It was a
We haven't
pretty.
discussed.
It was pretty standard in terms of like compared to other MCU shit about.
No big cameos,
Yeah.
like which is nice.
Apparently, I missed all the good ones though. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
wish
Groot
they,
came by, you know, yeah.
They
Like,
missed
what?
opportunity with the cages with the animals. They should have put the rat from the Suicide Squad. Sebastian the
That's-
rat.
How would you have like recognized it?
I know he could have just been like, "I'm Sebastian." I don't know.
Gaul would have done it because apparently he recognizes all these cameos, and I don't. I
It's
enjoy
Jennifer Holland, bro.
God, that moment. I
Daniela
think we
Hood.
didn't mention because I guess we could mention other moments in the film we didn't mention. But when Rocket is looking at all the baby raccoons and he's like trying to pick them up one by one, I don't know. It just made me very warm.
Are raccoons really that small?
Well,
I
when they're
don't-
babies, I guess.
Like they're literally like the size of an eraser. You know, here's like here's a raccoon. You know, yeah, like, because
I don't know, I think
Rocket himself is this size. You know, that's Rocket. So
Rocket's a
Rocket-
bigger
Baby
raccoon.
raccoon.
That's a raccoon. He was
Rocket's-
pretty big.
I think
mean,
it's the middle of water ball and eraser. I feel like that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what kind of thing is this? You know, yeah, like what kind of raccoons are those? I mean, this is your super race, man.
I have seen it all today. Nikita just compared a baby raccoon to an eraser.
I also love the scene with the obelisks, where they're in the prison in the pit with the obelisks, and then Mantis just turns all of them, and they pull up, and they're all on their side.
It's all right.
But I also wonder
I'm
if
surprised you know
it's
all
a
these
nitpick,
names,
but
you
like
know,
if
yeah.
the High Evolutionary had them, why were they attacking the Sovereign? I don't know.
Well,
He probably made them too, and then
Yeah, and then they were just like, "Me want batteries."
I enjoyed Kaiju Groot and I'm a head and a spider Groot. Yeah,
What about Eagle
Cool.
Groot?
you grew.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was cool.
Was good too.
Unexpected, deployment of.
And it made sense. It wasn't just, oh, whoa, that's stupid. Like you had,
Patriotic Groot.
if you guys saw Dungeons and Dragons, literally the same thing happened in that movie. I guess it was a bit different, but
Oh yeah, Jonathan.
Jonathan.
I liked when Groot got big. That was very cool. I would say, that was unexpected
That
when he got
doesn't sound
huge on
right.
that planet. With all these... Huh?
I don't know. I just said it didn't sound right the way you said it.
No, Groot got big. He increased in size. Yeah.
Sounds
Making
even
it worse.
I know.
Try again.
Well, that wood really grew. Yeah. So what can you say?
Subscribe, everyone.
The lost post-credit scene. He was fine until Helmer. And then you just made it worse.
Oh,
I'm crying.
all right.
Enjoy this final form as well in the post credits.
I think my favorite version of Groot is old Groot from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's maybe a hot take, but that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the best one. That's the best one.
And it makes sense. They didn't go back to that version at the end of this movie. So,
This is technically Groot's son.
is it? I thought it's not the same. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was like the
It's
same.
Groot
No, it's
Reborn.
from New
I've
Memories
been,
from
like,
Volume 2
obsessed with-
onwards.
Is it the sun? Like a sapling?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
The
yeah, he's the
Grooty.
New Memories from Volume 2 onwards. Because James Gunn said that Groot from Guardians 1 is dead.
Okay.
What the hell is this, man?
Oh, so
You're telling me this now? So Groot dies in Guardians 1.
He's gonna go back and cry again.
Now it's a top 3 MCU movie. I mean, what are we talking about? Yeah.
oh, then Gamora dies in Infinity War. So you should.
I don't care about Gamora. I care about Groot. She can die any movie. Like I'm indifferent to her, but Groot, I'm with him.
He is a real environmentalist. He just loves the trees. He's like the Lorax.
He cried during the Lorax. You have to walk out
The
during the
tree.
Lorax, get some tissues, come back. He speaks for the trees. He's Danny DeVito.
It's like that Arnold Schwarzenegger poster where he's sitting in the forest. That's
Smokey the Bear. Human version.
Any other moments in the film anyone you want to mention? Any characters before we end it? No. Okay,
think we
vote,
covered
folks. Sorry.
Yeah, we covered it pretty
We
much.
covered it. We did cover all bases. All right, folks. So that's going to do it for our Guardians of the Galaxy 3 spoiler discussion. I'd like to thank our 3 guests. First, before we end it, folks, Rod, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Cinema Gallery on my Instagram. You can also find me and my good buddy Ben on the Infinity Film Podcast. Host a podcast every week. We will be doing our Guardians 3 spoiler review actually tomorrow. So look forward to that this Friday.
Perfect. Chef.
Well, you can find me at Movies Without Schmovies on Instagram. I already reviewed that Guardians yesterday. Got a bit of fiery reaction. So if you want to contribute, bring on your pitchforks. I'm ready for you.
Go.
So you can see at Film Toppings on Instagram and on YouTube. Me and my co-host Alan are at Film Fanatics Pod on Instagram and Film Fanatics at YouTube. He was here for the Quantumania review a bit ago, and we're recording soon spoiler reviews for Guardians 3 and Mandalorian 3 tomorrow, so look forward to that.
Perfect. And Luke.
You can find me at Luke Reviews, but you won't find anything there. So otherwise, you can find me here co-hosting
That's such a bummer.
and stuff.
Such a downer.
We'll come here then.
He came full
To
circle.
Latvia.
All right, guys. So that's going to end it. Thank you to our 3 guests as well as Luke for co-hosting. We'll see you all soon with another episode of Unfiltered, hopefully with a spoiler review of Fast X. There's going to be a lot to talk about there. But yeah, it's been a fun show, guys. Take care, guys. Ciao.